Jane Doe. Dump like trash.
Actually, my husband would say he went to great pains to present her to his audience.
The girl's hands were severed, and her naked body lay beside the railroad tracks. Without palms, the police couldn't identify the victim through fingerprints. But that wouldn't stump Dr. Scarpetta. Once the body was on the autopsy table, she knew exactly how to make it speak. Yet, just before leaving, Scarpetta suddenly bent down and picked up a coin from the tracks. Her thoughts drifted back 28 years. The same binding of the hands and feet, the same traces of sexual assault. The only difference was that back then, the crime scene had been the victim's home. On the bed, a torn dress was found. The killer's psyche was clearly twisted, forcing the victim to wear the dress before slashing it open with a knife.
DNA from the husband would be helpful. Artur is a non-secretor, so that would rule him out.
As they spoke, a detective found a knife in a drawer. If it wasn't purchased by the husband, it had to belong to the killer. After surveying the crime scene, Scarpetta entered the morgue, arriving at the same moment as her younger self, ready to begin the autopsy. Based on the technique, it was highly probable that the killer in these recent cases was the same person. However, the serial killings from years ago had already been resolved. This latest murder might just be a copycat case. It took Scarpetta only an hour to complete the autopsy. After every case, Scarpetta usually took a shower. But today, someone unexpected showed up in the bathroom. Maggie, her assistant, brought in a note. Something about the unidentified woman by the railroad tracks. Scarpetta agreed to check it out soon, but her mind once again wandered back to 28 years ago. Back then, to crack the case, the FBI had sent over a criminal profiler. After looking at the photos on the board, the profiler quickly speculated the general characteristics of the killer. The person was not exceptionally handsome, but had a strong physique, likely doing some kind of manual labor, like a construction worker. However, the killer was not just physically strong, but was also highly intelligent. Scarpetta was intrigued. The profiler had also hypothesized about the killer's motive.
It started him just looking in windows.
Was seeing the women, watching them.
Wanted to see him hurt. Next he rapes. Each rape gets more violent.
Maybe needing more violence each time just to get him off.
Or rape is no longer the motive murder is.
And when murder no longer satisfies,
He gets more sadistic.
it's a taste for torture.
How does he find them?
Why them?
The detective investigated the third victim's husband, Peterson. Coincidentally, Peterson shared the same condition as the killer, a rare metabolic disorder. Maybe Peterson was the killer. At first, he only targeted single women. Later, when alone with his wife, he inadvertently revealed his true nature. However, Scarpetta and the detective shook their heads. This theory seemed a bit far-fetched. Soon after, the detective brought in a crucial piece of evidence.
Joe found partials on the wife's body that matched Peterson. Same glitter slime on her as the rest of the Vicks.
With this new evidence, the police quickly identified Peterson as the killer. Time shifted back to 28 years later, when Scarpetta, following the address from the note, arrived at a villa. This was the fourth victim's home. The victim was an engineer working in a biological lab. After missing work for several days, her boss became concerned and called the police. Scarpetta found it strange. How could the body be discovered and the disappearance reported so conveniently? In the villa's living room, the police found a piece of gym equipment. Its shape matched what Scarpetta had suspected, hard, round, and without bloodstains, indicating the killer had only used it once. But if the killer had already knocked the victim unconscious, why didn't they finish the job then and there? Why drag the body all the way to the railroad tracks to kill it? A police officer walked over with a serious expression. He had just received news from the forensic department.
Prints on the kettlebell came back with a name.
Who is it?
It's Matt Peterson.
Kate could hardly believe it. If the fingerprint was real, it meant they had made a grave mistake.
We got the wrong guy.
28 years ago, Peterson's wife had been brutally murdered, and he was wrongfully accused of the crime. Now, more than 2 decades later, he had finally regained his freedom. It was time to correct the wrong.
This case. It's the one I built my whole career on. My reputation, everything. I can't be wrong.